Welcome to Growing Up Boomer. I'm your host, Padre, with my co-host, Professor. And this podcast is dedicated to the life and times of the baby boomer generation. The show is loosely scripted, and sometimes we'll go down rabbit holes, and where it leads us to, one will never know. This podcast can be informative, funny, and sometimes irreverent. But most of all, we hope you find it entertaining. How you doing, my man?
Oh, Padre, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, not too bad at all. Cannot complain.
Okay.
But I will tell you this, though. When you get our age, you start looking at people who are passing away.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Bad news, Ruth Buzzy just passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember her?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Laughing? How can you not?
Yeah.
She was the old lady with the Benny Hill kind of guy that
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Funny.
Yeah, that was too bad.
Yeah, how old was she?
88.
88. Wow.
Died on May 1st, and she was 88. The thing you're going to have to ask yourself is, you and I are not too far removed from 88.
I'm far enough away that that's down the road. I'm just calling it down the road.
Oh, Professor, just a minute now. Okay. We are closer to death than we are to birth.
Oh, thanks so much for that positive outlook. You just made my day.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Think about that. Okay.
I'm thinking.
We both have walked on this earth for over 70 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
How about 75?
Yeah. A little bit closer to 80 than others.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not right behind. I'm pretty close, but
I know. I get it.
The reason why I say that is as you get in our age, right? I don't care who you are, we all start believing in the hereafter.
Okay.
And I can prove it.
Okay, prove it.
I can prove it. Because I'll guarantee you that whenever anyone our age walks into a room, they look to the heavens and they say, what am I hereafter?
There you go.
Right?
You proved it. You did. You proved it, my friend. Absolutely.
How many times if you walked into the room, you think of something, you know you're going to get it, and you walk into the room and you go, and you have to walk back.
I know. Okay. Yeah. I won't say necessarily once a day, but it could be that much. Okay. It's frequent. It's regular. Yes, I get that.
Yeah. What you need to do is actually jot it down every time you do that, and you'll find that it's more than a few times.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, it probably is. It's probably a couple, 3 times, depending on the day. Yeah.
But let's be honest, okay? Our wife used to tell us that we couldn't find something in the refrigerator. If it was saying, here I am.
Yeah.
The refrigerator, or
well, I never used to have a problem, but yep, that comes up periodically too. Okay. The good news is I can say that to her also. Ha.
Oh, by the way, when it comes to Ruth Buzzy, did you know that in Laughing that she was the only featured guest that appeared in every Laughing episode?
I did not know.
Yeah.
Good for her.
I was a big Laughing fan.
I watched multiple times, but I wasn't an aficionado of it. Yeah.
The one was she didn't star, but she appeared in 28 different films.
Okay.
Now this film was so bad. I remember her in this film because the film was so bad I cannot get it out of my psyche.
Okay, well that means it must be number 1 on your bad list.
No. This is how bad it is. Okay. It is so bad it will not reach the Padre household.
Oh.
That's when it's really bad.
Oh, that's really bad.
The movie was made in 1979. It's called The Villain. With Kirk Douglas.
Okay.
And Margaret. Okay. Paul Lynn.
Okay.
Eli Wallach. And guess who has second billing? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh boy, the villain.
Okay?
Yeah, okay.
and he's the sheriff of the town, and he has the 1950s getup, the baby blue outfit. Okay, and the movie is so ingrained in me. There is one line in it where Kirk Douglas is in the saloon, and he pops this guy. Boom! He says, he goes, left hook, and then boom, uppercut, and then something behind him and whacks him with a piece of wood. 2x4. I mean, that's always in my head. That's how bad this movie was. But yeah, she was quite something. Yeah. Oh, by the way, May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. Of course, we're a little, May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, but true Star Wars aficionados do not celebrate May the 4th.
No, that's not the right date.
Correct. It is May the 25th. Because that's when it was the release date.
Yes. Okay.
Now, I'm a big Star Wars guy. I'm a big Trekkie guy.
Yeah.
I mean, but I am not where I'm celebrating the release of a movie.
No. I like May. I like the 4th better. Yeah. Because to play on words, I mean, it's definitely, absolutely.
Yeah.
May the 4th be with you. Yes.
But more importantly than May the 4th, for people like me, okay? Cinco de Mayo.
Well, Well, happy Cinco de Mayo.
Hey, thank you. Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, what was it? The Battle of Puebla. Battle of Puebla.
Puebla.
Yeah.
What was the date? Ooh.
May the 5th?
No, what year?
I think it was 18, let me see here.
1850, 60, or was it the 1890s? I don't remember.
No. That's when they started celebrating, was the 1890s, but it was like 56. It was after the American Mexican War.
Okay, Mexican-American War. Okay, got it. Yeah.
So they were weak, so the French thought that, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's take back Mexico.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah, that didn't work. And the thing that was so funny is that they had like 8,000 troops against 4,000 Mexicans.
Yeah.
So that tells you, man, don't mess with the Mexicans. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Just remember, we're going to be, we're going to be the number one population in 2050 in the American.
I understand. I know.
You're lucky we're friends.
Yeah, I know. It's a good thing.
Other than he may not be around in 2050.
Yeah, 25th. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. That's gonna be right on the cusp there.
Who knows? Who knows?
You're a centenarian, so yeah.
Okay. Hey, what do you say we get back into our podcast here?
Sure, we can do that.
All righty. Now, today's podcast is about status symbols that us boomers used to love. But you know what? That mean absolutely nothing today.
Yeah, well, you know what? I wonder if some of them still mean something to somebody somewhere. Okay. We'll see. Even a few of the new people, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You like fancy china sets? Come on.
What's that?
Yeah, you never had that.
You know what? I never had I don't remember a fancy china set. Maybe there was a few dishes that seemed to be special dishes, but not like a china set. No. Did you?
Well, we don't have the china, but we have these plates that never get used. They're on display in our buffet.
Okay.
They're on display.
Right.
We used to use them when we used to entertain a lot.
And
those were the special dishes.
Sure. Well, we have special dishes, but they're not china. So yeah, and we use them for company. So we do that, but not china. Okay, no china, nothing at all like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And what went along with china?
Well, I know what went along with china.
Yeah.
Well, you got to have silverware.
Yeah.
But not just silverware. You had to have sterling silverware. And guess what? I still have the family silverware.
Oh, well, yeah, but that was handed down to you.
Oh, well, yes, of course it was handed down to me. In fact, I think it was handed down to my was it to my mother or my grandfather or my father?
Mhm.
No, I guess it went down to my mom. No, it might have been on my father's side. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
it came down through my anyway, it doesn't really matter.
No,
I have them,
yeah.
okay,
Yes.
and they do not come out. They just sit in their box, all covered up. Yep,
I'm
that's
a
exactly
blazing
what
can
goes on
right
with
here.
them, right? And I don't think there's any Gen Zer that's gonna, unless they inherit them, okay, are gonna do anything with them. Some of them will get them and just sell them and take the money and run.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, the best cartoon I had ever seen, or I was on a strip, and it said the worst nightmare for Gen Z. And it was a baby boomer, very elderly, and then she's standing in front of this big hutch, right?
Yeah.
All of this stuff in it, right? It's all the dishware, everything like that. And
Mhm.
she's turning to the Gen Zer and says, just think, one of these days, this will all be yours.
Yeah. 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 I know. Yeah, I know. China sets and the silverware. Yeah, I remember that. I remember polishing them.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I remember I remember when after we
Mhm.
got them,
Yeah.
it might have been for some Thanksgivings or something like that early in our marriage. I
Mhm.
remember polishing them up and using them, and then got out of that pretty quick. So yeah. Now I don't know which kid's going to end up with them, but that's their problem.
Well, that's not a problem. That's just
Well, I don't mean a problem.
that's their gift.
Yeah, but how are they going to divide it up?
Yeah.
Okay. You take the forks,
Oh,
I take the spoons. Okay.
look, when I say I don't want this, you take.
Yeah, right.
Oh, speaking of laughing, I remember there was this one joke on Live, and if you remember, Red China was coming up pretty good. Back in the '60s, everybody
In the
was worried
60s,
about
yeah.
China,
Yeah.
yeah, with
Yeah.
the Cultural Revolution and stuff like that. And one of the jokes was, "What do you think of Red China?" And they
Yeah.
said, "Well, it looks great on blue tablecloth."
Yeah. That's a perfect one. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. So yeah. So but the just moving along, some of the other ones is a McMansion.
Oh,
I mean,
oh,
boomers,
yeah, yeah,
especially the older boomers, I think,
yeah.
of which we kind of are the older boomers. Um, they, yeah, McMansions were a big thing. I know you got yours, right?
Oh, yeah. Come on, come on. You've seen my house. Come
No,
on.
and I got mine, right? And you've seen
Yeah,
my house,
yeah.
so yeah, but
You had the staircase. You had that real nice
I
staircase.
did. I did. Yeah, you're talking about, of course, it was in suburbia. There's no doubt about it. Where we're living,
Yeah.
it was more suburban, which
Mhm.
is what everybody moved to. Boomers
Yeah.
wanted to get out. They wanted a little more property, wanted to get out of the city, more
Mhm.
suburban, grand staircases, formal dining rooms,
Yeah.
lots of square footage, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it's all relative. So to the extent I had a mini McMansion. How's
Mhm.
that? Okay,
Yeah.
because I had
I
big
wasn't a
vaulted
nightmare.
ceilings.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
mini McMansion, and
Your
and
house.
the, and the staircase and the formal dining. Of course, we took out the formal dining room and made
Mhm.
it a big great room. But yeah,
Mhm.
but these days, I don't. The younger kids, they're not looking for that. They're
No.
looking more for functionality and
Right.
lower maintenance and affordability. And of course,
Mhm.
affordability is an issue. So I get it.
You're right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, 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 yeah,
You've
yeah.
seen my house. And you know the prices here in
Oh,
Benicia,
oh yeah,
right? And
yeah.
I always tell the wife, I said, "Can you imagine live in a house that's worth this much money and it looked like this?"
Yeah, I know. I understand. Okay. It's really amazing at the prices. It's
Yeah.
just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people are still buying them and some people can still afford them.
Mhm.
But I mean, the housing is that's a whole issue. And that's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I
And
wonder what affordability was like when we were growing up.
uh,
I guess there was still affordability issues.
mhm.
I'm trying to think of when mortgage insurance came into being, because before mortgage insurance, you had to have a 20% down payment minimum.
Mhm.
Okay. And now with mortgage insurance, you can get in well for 3% down.
Mhm.
Okay. And sometimes less. So, um, but maybe that's a result of the lack of affordability. So they did things to make more affordable. Hey,
That
who knows? So,
that's
yeah.
true. That's very true. But
Yeah.
I remember I used to have a friend who was when I was down south, living
Uh-huh.
in Mission Viejo. We were taking care of my mom, and, we would go to have Bible studies at his house. and he was from Madrid.
Okay.
He loved the United States. He finally became a citizen because he kept failing the test
Oh,
because he get nervous.
oh, okay.
And it killed him because his wife passed it the first time.
Ooh,
And I
ooh.
think it took 2 or 3 times, 4 times for him.
Oh, poor
He
guy.
was just a real nervous guy, but he said he loves the United States. He lived in it wasn't a McMansion, but it was a nice house. He
Right.
says, when I was in Madrid, it is so small that you can go to the bathroom and wash your hands at the same time.
Oh, okay. That's that's small.
So they're really small there.
Well, yeah, no, Europe is different. I mean, from traveling over there and being in
Yeah,
some of the hotels and some of the places, yeah, their idea of space is different than ours.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, they're way more frugal with their space.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You're right about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then the other thing is, of course, is the landline. Do you know
Oh,
anybody that still has a landline?
yes. As a matter of fact, I do. I
Hmm.
do. Cell phones too, and a landline. And for the longest time, we had a
Hmm.
landline. I
Yeah.
had a landline up even when. Do we have a landline when we first moved here? No, I think no, we didn't. So I think I haven't had a landline for 7 years,
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
But prior to that, they always had the landline. Didn't want
Yeah.
to give it up. Didn't want to give it up.
Hmm.
But now, I mean, now who has a landline?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was kind of cool. I mean, remember the landlines? I mean, we
Oh,
started
yeah.
out. I know you and I. We started out with the rotary phones, okay, and then the princess phones came in, and
Yeah.
the touch tone, little dialy things and all that other kind of stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all those variations. And actually, what I kind of miss some of the styles because they had some really cool looking rotary
Hmm.
phones and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Now a cell phone, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a square, it's a rectangle. Okay. And
Mhm.
it's, 1/4 inch thick or 3/8 or whatever it is thick. And that's what it is. Just,
Yeah.
just no excitement about it. But uh, the generations now, they'll never know a landline.
I would tell you this. We had a promotion, because I've always worked hardware, right? And we had a promotion, and I had it in my garage because I had a landline plug in my garage.
Uh-huh.
It was a Stanley 25-foot tape that opened up and it had the numbers.
There
Oh,
you go.
okay.
See, there you go. I'm telling you, different
It was
stuff.
like a little Stanley. I actually had a little hook on it too. So, but you'd open it up, and and you would talk. That's almost like that was the first flip phone.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. One of the reasons why I like the landline is because you're plugged in, and even if the power went out, you still had a landline.
Yeah, you know what? That's what people that own the landline. That's exactly what they told me.
Well, I'm
That
telling you, because that's the reason why I kept it for so long.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's why because what happens if it goes out?
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, if the power goes out.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
If the
know.
power goes out with a landline, you could still talk. But now, if power goes out, you could be out of luck.
Hmm. Well,
Just,
until your battery runs out.
well, until your battery runs out. Well, yes, it all depends on the cell towers.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Because if cell
true.
towers are down, that's a different story.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, now I know another one though,
Hmm.
about these status symbols. Okay,
Hmm.
and I know well you've done this, so I know you didn't have a garage full of classic cars, okay, but you worked on them and you had some, didn't
Yeah,
have you through your course of life.
yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah, yeah.
They were my
I
transportation, though. But I mean, when you talk about classic cars, I mean, you're talking about like a car that just that's all it's there for. You hardly ever drive it. My cars that I had happened to be classics, but at the time they weren't considered classics.
they were your classic transportation. No, at that particular. Oh, yes, I
Yeah.
get that. You're right. Okay, well, yeah, but
Well,
Well,
you.
it's interesting because when you're thinking about it, because I know you and I both had 442s,
Hmm.
the Oldsmobiles, which were pretty fast and powerful
Oh yeah,
cars.
yeah, yeah.
And that, now that's a collectible car now. Back then, you're
Mhm.
right. That was my transportation.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but even then, people worked on cars a lot.
Mhm.
Okay. There was a lot more. I mean, I worked on cars all the time, and you did too. And now, it's a different story. I mean, there's still car collectors out there, obviously, but a lot of the kids, especially in the cities, okay, the younger, they don't need cars. Between Uber and Lyft and electric vehicles, and you can rent because I did this in France. Okay, you can rent a scooter and you drive it all around in one place and leave it at another one, and there you go. What did it cost you? A few euros, something like that. So yeah. So collectible cars, of course, I would love to have a few collectible cars now.
Yeah, I was going to say you had a few.
No, well,
I remember the
yes.
Beamer. You had a Beamer.
Well, I had a Beamer. Yet the Beamer, that was a nice car. That was the M3 convertible. That was nice. I had a TR4, 64 TR4. I had a Fiat 124 Sport, which I loved. Okay, that's what I drove out to California in. So I mean, I've had a variety of cool cars. So of those types anyway. So yeah, the one thing that as a boomer I would like to have, and I still would like to have, except it would be exactly like having it if I had it ever in the past, an RV. Okay. I'd love to have an RV to go RVing. Okay. But what happens? Okay. They kind of sort of sit in the driveway for many. Now, there's this big, it's like a lot of things. Okay. There's there's that honeymoon period, if you will. You get it and you use it. And then you find out, okay, well, it takes a lot to gas it up. Gas is expensive and this or that. And then it sits and then and you use it less and less and less. And it sits in a driveway. So who needs that in there now? I mean, you got Airbnb, you got fuel efficient cars. Okay. So they got some pretty cool vans out these days. Okay. They really do. And so just things are different.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is we cannot own an RV.
Okay.
Because Kathy's already told me I am not doing dishes in the places that I'm staying. Not to worry, I'm the guy that does the dishes anyway.
Yeah, so what's the matter?
No, yeah. I'm not making the bed. I ain't doing the dishes, okay? All right. I'm not cooking. If we're on vacation, we're on vacation.
Okay, well, that's a different type of thing. Yeah, you have to do it. But I would love to do that. I'd love to pop in a motorhome and do a cross-country trip or something like that. I think that'd be blast, actually.
Well, you could probably rent one.
You can. Yep. Yeah, we know, I don't know if they'd ever let us borrow it, but Jackie's niece has one. So, you never know. Anyway, so, yeah. RVs.
How about this one? Always wearing a gold watch.
Now that's a status symbol. That is a status symbol, a gold watch. I had a gold watch. Okay. It was, yes, but it wasn't real gold. It was just gold colored.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, no, I had that. I had no, I used to use Seikos. That was my thing, but it would be gold colored. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, no, that was one thing. A really good watch. I mean, but I do have a gold watch, but I don't wear it. That's my dad's pocket watch.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I have that, but that's an heirloom type thing. Right. So yeah, and do you wear a watch now?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Yeah. See?
Oh, I don't wear a watch anymore. I'm just like the kids. Okay, I got my phone. What else do you need?
Well, I used to wear a watch because it had a Fitbit on it.
Oh, okay, got that. Okay.
I would exercise. You and I are about the same. We do our exercises and stuff like that.
Oh right? Yeah. Yep.
But the problem with exercising is that some parts of the body just give up.
You notice?
There is nothing you can do.
Yeah.
To get this part of your body into shape. It is lost.
Okay. But
I used to wear a Fitbit, but I'm going, but I said, I really only wanted to tell time.
Okay.
And it's so much easier to flip and look at the wrist than to reach down and get my phone.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because I had a Fitbit for a while. And I don't remember why, but then have you ever heard of Aura? That's what this is. This is an Aura ring. And so that's what I use. Okay. But Bluetooth to my phone. So that's where I take a look at it, and it does all the sleep stuff and, activities. So that's what I use.
Yeah,
But
that's probably better than a Fitbit. You know,
excuse me.
your is probably fit better than a Fitbit.
Um,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
especially if you're going to, you're sleeping. You don't like to have that thing on your wrist.
Well, that's true, but I understand. But sometimes when I'm gripping things, it kind of sort of feels
Mm.
whatever. Okay, it's a little bit thicker than a regular ring, but
Uh,
yeah.
mhm,
But I don't wear a watch anymore. I use my phone.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
and that's
Well,
what.
go along
Yeah.
with that golden watch. How about designer luggage that never sees an airport?
Well, I've seen them. I've seen designer stuff at the airport.
Hmm.
Okay, but I can't say that I see a lot these days.
Hmm. Well,
But I haven't looked for it either.
how often do you go to the airport?
Oh, I go to the airport relatively often. Are you kidding? I mean, we fly, we were doing flying back and forth for Coral,
Yeah.
a couple, 3 times a year.
Hmm.
Okay, now we're back into driving more often,
Hmm.
as far as that's concerned. But yeah, I mean, I flew to Fresno not that
Hmm.
long ago via
Yeah.
Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I've been in the airport the last few years at least a dozen times,
Yeah.
dozen flights. So, but it's like, when you buy a new car, you buy a new specific car, you buy a new Mustang.
Hmm.
Okay. Then you always see the Mustangs on the road. Okay. And
Yeah.
you never really looked at them before or
Yeah.
saw them before. So I'm not looking for designer luggage. If I had designer luggage, I would probably be looking and noticing all the designer luggage in the airports.
Hmm.
So I don't know what's really going on now, but I remember, yeah, it was a thing, the
Yeah.
designer luggage, and I just don't know how much is out there these days.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to do a lot of traveling for my old job.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
we were going to buying shows, and we are going
Sure.
back to what was it?
Um,
Factories.
yeah.
So
Sure.
we did quite a bit of traveling back then. I
Right.
remember one time we went to South Carolina. I went to the factory of this major manufacturer, and they were bringing manufacturing back to the United States. And so
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to show us that, you know what, we're supporting the American worker. And it's okay. Well, we'll go back there and see it. And of course, the hook was we were going to go see NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go now.
Okay. Okay. Oh yeah.
So what ends up happening? They show us the line, right? And these people are all making the power tool. They're making the
Mm-hmm.
drills and things like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
they gave us a chance to make a drill.
Okay.
And so I made the drill.
Ooh.
They sent it to my house on a plaque
Wow.
made by Joe Uriza, right? I mean, they
Right.
had
Right.
now. I'm looking at the drill and I said, I put guts in this thing. I bet you it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took it off the plaque, threw the plaque away, and I still have that drill.
That's pretty cool. All
Yeah,
right. Nice.
there's
Nice.
no way I'm gonna waste that thing.
Okay. Now tell me the company. I'm going to call and tell them what you did.
Yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not gonna do that. I want my drill. No, no.
I bet you do. So another thing that you just had to have was a timeshare.
Oh, oh, I had never had a timeshare.
Well, I will tell you, so this one rings with me because we still have timeshare. We've had timeshare on Maui, we have it in Hawaii, okay, and in Mexico. And we've had it for years, and I used to sell timeshare years ago. I thought it was a really cool thing. So you had to have a timeshare.
Mhm,
And for us, it's worked out really, really well.
mhm,
But yes, but as I always told people, buy this if you're going to use it. Do not buy it as an investment. Because if
right.
you think you're going to make money on it, not going to happen. Just
Mhm,
enjoy it. And
mhm,
we've enjoyed it. So, yeah, so it's a cool thing. But, and there's still timeshares out there. They're out there. They're still selling. They still do have timeshare sales pitches and so
mhm.
on. You get stuff in the mail every now and then. You
Every
go to
now.
make a dinner or something like that, and
Yeah.
or you get something in there. You get 3 nights or 2 nights in Reno for $1.99 or some ridiculous thing, and it's a timeshare thing, so it still
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
I'm
but
more
that
like the younger generation.
mm,
Now it's just like, "Hey, let's do something." And we
yeah,
just got so I don't
yeah.
wanna be locked into a place.
Oh yeah. Well, you can exchange it. I mean, we've exchanged it for Tahoe. We've exchanged it for
Mhm.
Grand Cayman Island. We exchanged it for Cancun.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can exchange it. So
It sounds like
uh,
too much work. Too
no,
much work.
not too much work at all. Okay, but we happen to really like our place, so
Uh-huh.
we go
Good,
there most often. Of
good.
course, it's hard not to like Maui, but anyway, yeah,
Well,
timeshare.
mhm,
That's definitely one of them.
mhm.
So now I don't know about you. Did you ever have the I mean, it was a status symbol, a Cadillac or a Lincoln. Did you ever
You
have one?
you know I had a Lincoln. Kathy, I bought her one, an LS.
You know what? I do remember that now.
It was a
Was
pretty
it
cool
was it
car.
a kind of
It
a
was
goldish
it was a
color?
Lincoln LS,
Lincoln LS, and what was the color?
black.
Oh, well, I got my colors way off. But I do remember that. Yeah, now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So you've had your status symbol. Look
Well,
at you, boy.
it
Ooh, okay.
it was not a status symbol. We happened to know someone who worked a dealership, and he gave us a smoking deal on this car.
Yeah, well, there
You
you
know
go.
I mean, you know me. I buy used cars and fix
Uh,
them. Well, like for instance, my truck.
right,
It's a 2002.
right,
All right. Take it to the car show and people win. All right. They got these beautiful cars right next to me.
right,
And a lot of them will win trophies. I won't win anything, but a
right,
lot of them win trophies. Right.
right.
And then they get upset because more people are interested in my little truck than they are in their cars.
Well, that's because it's unusual. Nobody puts that in.
Well, and I let the kids sit in it.
Yeah. Okay.
I
There
say,
you
yeah,
go. Okay.
hey, 'cause, oh, and the parents don't touch it, don't. No, have them sit. You want to take a picture with it because they love the doors.
Oh yeah, the doors make it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
they love
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
doors, so they want to take a picture with the vertical doors up, and so
Sure. Sure.
it's good in there. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you're right. That was the big time. That was Cadillac and Lincoln. You had to have those.
Lincoln Continental or
Yeah,
Cadillac DeVille.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, but now it's getting into the more foreign cars. And
Well, yeah, you got your Audis and your Mercedes and your Beamers, and of course, you got your Teslas and
right,
and there's a lot of the hybrids and SUVs are huge. Okay, I mean
yes,
that's like they're all over the place.
yeah.
In fact, I see so many SUVs and trucks, at least up around here.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so
But do you
yeah,
live out, if I recall correctly, you don't live in the city or anything like that. This is,
no, I'm more rural, definitely more
yeah,
rural.
yeah.
I mean,
So you,
where the big town near us is 60,000. That's the
mhm,
big town near us.
mhm,
And to get to Salem, which is, capital of Oregon, it's about a 45-minute ride.
mhm, mhm.
So to give you an idea, and of course, it's bigger population. No, but where I'm at, the town that I live in is like 5,000 people.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
All
yeah, yeah.
right.
So now, I'm trying to think of some other status symbols.
Oh,
Um,
I'll tell you one right now.
what?
A wall full of encyclopedias, a huge library.
I will tell you, okay, did not have a huge library, but had a shelf of encyclopedias.
Yeah.
Okay. In the mini McMansion, we had that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did that. And you know what? I wish I had them now. We
Yeah.
gave them away. I think they're great. There's so much information. And I know you can go online and everything else, but I don't know about you. I'm tactile.
Mhm,
Okay. I have
mhm,
been forced pretty much to read most everything that I do on this stupid screen. Okay. But I will not read books on a screen. Give
mhm.
me a book in my hands. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I could turn the pages and I could whatever it is. And so yeah, but the encyclopedias, and that was kind of a big deal. It really
Mhm.
was to have them. But
Yeah.
now you don't need it. It's ridiculous. And kids these days, it'll just be a word.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
it'll just be a word, and they won't even know what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So
With me, if I'm doing research, I do it on my tablet. But
okay.
if I'm reading for enjoyment, I do it with a book.
Well, yeah, because you can get so much more research done, doing it,
Tablet,
on,
'cause I can go,
and absolutely, you can have 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 20 windows open with
mhm,
different stuff on the same subject if you wanted to, if you're
mhm,
doing research. So, I mean, in that regard, it's great, but of course, it's so much easier now because you could just go to Chat GPT and type in what you want. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
yeah. Yeah, that's true, that's true.
You
Oh,
know, which is kind of scary, but
yeah. You will not believe how long it took me to get Kathy off cable TV.
oh, okay.
That was big time, remember?
Okay, well, I do remember that. It had channels up the yin yang.
Yeah,
Okay,
now it's of course off the web or you stream it.
right,
It's just one of those things. You get those cable TVs, or you just get TV itself, the program itself
right,
that you pay for,
right.
and you only watch 2 or 3 channels.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking lowly on this because I don't want her to hear her.
Oh, okay, I get that. Okay,
I don't want her to hear me. Yeah,
okay, all right, yeah,
Garcia.
yeah, yeah. I know the Garcia. Yeah, I get that.
I'm going. Have all these streaming services. We can get all of these stations, right? Everything you watch, like
Mhm.
the Home Network or whatever, where they're showing how they redo houses. You can get it there.
Right.
Yeah, but they're a season behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know it's crazy, but so it's interesting. So growing up, yes, you had Comcast, you had whatever ATT, whatever. Okay, and you're right. You had a basic set of stuff, but if you wanted a real good sports package, you had to add that. You wanted Max, you had to add that. Okay, but people did that, so they have access to everything. And but I know people that do the same thing with streaming services,
Mhm.
and you're looking at one of them. However, we just got smart. I just got off of 4 of them,
Mhm.
okay? And we'll keep the other 3, okay, for now, okay? And I don't know why the light bulb didn't go off years ago, okay? Because it's so easy to sign up and cancel and sign up and cancel. So as we build up, say it's Max as an example. Okay, let's say there's 4 or 5 or 6 shows we want to watch, a series, okay, or movies or whatever. We'll save them up, and then, by the way, I hope Max isn't listening. So then we could sign up and take a month or whatever it is and watch all the shows, and then cancel and
Mhm.
go on to another one. So I think that's what we're going to do from now on, and we're saving 60, $70 a month by doing that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can
Yeah.
be very expensive.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah. Now, did you have a room of trophies?
Well, if you consider all my Beatles albums trophies, then I would have to say yes.
Oh, I mean the one, yeah, okay, the ones I'm looking at. Okay,
Yeah. Forget.
well,
Whoa. Oh, before we go on, you got to
yeah,
remember, okay? You're talking to a guy who sat on the bench most of his high school career in
okay,
basketball in Hispanic school. I'm 6'2", and so I tower over everybody, and I
right.
still couldn't play basketball to save my life. There's no sports trophies, no. You know what? Even my yearbook I tossed out.
Oh gosh, I wish I had my. Oh, I do have my yearbooks. I just have to find them.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, did I have trophies? I think I enjoyed my kids' trophies more than I remember my trophies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in my own way, okay. So when we were growing up, we're talking about trophies and displaying plaques and everything else.
Mhm.
But I did that in my office. I did that in my office for years. I had that stuff up there,
Mhm.
and all sorts of stuff. So I kind of did that. And
Mhm.
so yeah, but now, kids are probably less likely. I mean, if you're really an athlete, a superb athlete, you probably have, like, I'm thinking of, like, well, some of the big athletes, okay, they've got trophy rooms and
Mhm.
they got all their stuff out there, and they just are, but whatever. Whatever. Okay. I don't know. Anyway.
But I think what you're talking about as well is the certificates,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
diplomas and all
Yeah.
kinds
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
that,
Oh yeah. I have stuff too.
you
Yeah.
know?
You're right.
And that's
You're right.
part of being in a trophy room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think that many people, at least the younger ones, I don't know if they're really going to be doing that. So we'll see. That we'll see. That could continue for a while.
Wait. First of all, to get a trophy, you have to go outside.
Well,
If you're
true.
to earn a sports trophy, you have to go outside.
You know, I think you can get some things with using your thumbs online. I think there are ways of probably being able to do that, but I don't know. Beyond me.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Did you ever see the movie Le Mans?
No.
No, that one is, I think, no, was it called? No, what was it called? Not with Le Mans. That was a Steve McQueen movie.
McQueen. Okay.
Gran Torino.
Oh, Gran Torino.
Not Gran Torino, Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo.
And that's about, it's what you're talking about, a kid who did the virtual reality car racing.
Oh, okay.
And this is actually a true story.
Okay.
And what they did is they took their best kids and made them Grand Prix racers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And so you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can happen. It can happen.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I mean, and the reason why I think some of this is probably going to continue even with the younger generations, because there's a lot of people that are competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're competitive, you want to win. And if you win, depending on what you're winning at, you may get an award or a trophy, and it feels good. So it feeds the ego. That's what it does. Hey,
how about a participation trophy?
Oh, you mean something everybody gets?
How about
yeah,
yeah?
Everybody gets one. Yeah, there you go. That sounds good. That's fair.
I'm waiting for the professional baseball to do that. Everybody gets a World Series ring.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. I don't think at that level it's going to be. That's a whole different story. What about a basement bar? Or even having just a bar?
Just the bar. That was big time. Do you remember that?
Having a wet bar? You had to have at least a wet bar. If you didn't have a basement bar, you had to have something for entertaining. It had to be stocked up, and you had to have your triple whatever it is malts and double this malts, and well, I had the wine, but I didn't have a bar. Okay, so that was absolutely another status symbol to have one of those things.
Yeah, but see, in Northern California, it's all about the cheese and wine.
Yes, it's true.
Not about hard liquor.
Yeah, no, I true. It's very much true.
And to get the idea of that, did you ever see A Blast from the Past?
No.
A Brendan Fraser movie with Christopher Walken. Well, that's how it opens up. They're entertaining, right? And this is back in I think about 63, 64, during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Okay.
About 62, I think, 61, 62, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And they're entertaining. And they have the bar.
Okay.
Not a basement bar, but you're right. A wet bar, and all the men are around that drinking hard liquor, and and women are in the living room, a couch, and just very, very, shall we say, gender specific.
Yes, you mean chauvinistic? Oh, I didn't say that. Okay.
But it's a great movie. It's a comedy. You need to see it.
Yeah. Okay.
You will laugh. You will not believe how much you'll laugh.
Yeah. Okay.
I even have it in the Padre library.
Oh, well, that must be a good movie then.
Yeah. Sissy Spacek's in it. Let me see. Christopher Walken, Lisa Silverstone. So yeah, the Clueless one. Cool. Yeah, so it's a pretty good one. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Hey, we're running a little long, so how about we do one more?
Okay, sure.
Okay. How about monogrammed everything?
Yeah, I'm guilty.
Is it his, hers?
No, it's not. No, it wasn't his, hers. No. But I do really get into it. But it was definitely a status symbol, having a monogram cuff, okay, or a monogram, a pocket handkerchief. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, so I had a couple, but I didn't get into it big time. But it was definitely a status symbol to go down there. But a lot of these status symbols are just feeding the ego. And the older I get, the less I care about the ego part. Okay. And this stuff doesn't mean anything anymore. So, yeah. Okay. But there's all status symbols. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With the young ones.
Well, you know what? Every generation has its own thing. And the issue is it always comes back. Everything comes back in style.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see what happens. But, Professor, we're running a little long. What do you say we bring this one to a close? Buddy?
I think we better if we're running long. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, we'll chat next time. Okay. Adios.
All right. You have a great one.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
We'd like to thank you for listening and remind you if you happen to have any baby boomer topics you'd like us to cover, just email us at growingupboomer@gmail.com. And until next time, may God bless.